more over here at HTM Sports. How's everybody doing today, man? Hey, so you're tuning in to an edition of Early Morning Coffee. I will be going live with a landlord from Alabama later on today. We're going to be having a big film breakdown on Dak Prescott and his interceptions. Right, we're going to see who was really culpable for the interceptions this year. Looking at the numbers, he did lead the league in interceptions with 15. But if you dig a little bit deeper, he also led the league in turnovers on non-turnover worthy plays, meaning he was not at fault for 7 of them. So we'll see. We'll break down the film. We're gonna do an analysis of it. We're gonna see what really happened, and we'll go from there. But yeah, man. So this is actually I wanted to do this show before we got into that. So, I've been seeing this report float around about the possibility of this being the final year of Dak Prescott being a Dallas Cowboy, right? And I'm not going to question the integrity of the people reporting this. I'm not going to throw any shade at them for how wrong I think this is. But I am going to talk about it, right? I am going to talk about it. I am going to break down how this is completely unrealistic, and we'll just jump into it, man. This is a good show to segue into because of what we're doing later on. We will be discussing Dak Prescott in the show later on today, so I just wanted to do a little show over this report that's floating around. It's really an article that's floating around, right? So I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna tell you where it's from. I'm gonna read it, and then I'll break it down. Always on a hot seat, trash baby juice. See, Darius, you my guy, you my low. I love you, but that is a very casual fan take. Very casual fan take, and we're gonna jump into that, kinfolk, because you're a much more intelligent person than that. You just don't like Dak Prescott. Y'all both light skinned, so y'all know I think y'all be beefing. And good morning to you too, my G. Always good to see you amongst the living, striving, being successful, my guy. So I'm glad you tapped in with me, my boy. He has a no trade. We're gonna break that down. We're gonna break that down, right? So I'm gonna read the report real quick, and then we're gonna jump right into it. And hey, Gary Murphy, what's up with you, man? So Jason Smith, the Cowboys have officially put Dak Prescott on notice. Right, this is an article that they by Brandon Truffer, based on what Jason Smith and them said on the morning show. Right, it was posted on February the 22nd. So Jason Smith says, with what we've heard from the Cowboys in the last 24 hours, Dak Prescott is in his last season with Dallas if he doesn't step up. He'll be gone after this season. So Dallas in the last 2 days has been linked to quarterback prospects. It was reported they were intrigued by C.J. Stroud, but it's likely that Stroud could be the second pick in the draft. So jumping up from number 20 to number 2 would probably be difficult. The other quarterback they were linked to today was Hendon Hooker. It was reported they did a lot of research on him. Hooker is coming off a torn ACL and probably would have been a first rounder if it wasn't for that. But with a lot of guys being taken early this year, Hooker will slide down to the back end of the first round or early second round. So here's the takeaway from this. Dak Prescott is in his last year of put up or shut up, or else he'll be on a different team in a year. His contract is not nearly as complicated with money as someone like Aaron Rodgers. If the Cowboys wanted to part with a 30-year-old Dak Prescott after this year, a team could definitely be down to do that. This is Cowboys putting a warning on Dak. This is the last of the prohibited years, so yeah, the Cowboys are looking toward the future, and this is Mike Harmon on this one. And really, they should be anyway. Dak is unfortunately one of those guys on the poster board who ends up with, part of it was roster construction, but for Dak, this is it. Okay, so that is the report. This is what they said on Fox Sports Radio. There was Jason Smith having a conversation with Mike Harmon. Right. So let's just break down, the fallacies in this report. Right. So let's start with the elephant in the room. If the Dallas Cowboys move on from Dak Prescott, right, it will be a complete rebuild situation, right? You will not be seriously trying to compete for a championship. You'll be bringing in a young guy who has to have time to learn the offense, have to have time to adjust to the NFL, right? You will be starting over at quarterback. So it'll be 8 years with Dak Prescott, right? This gonna be his eighth season. JC Cowboys Network, what's up with you, man? So you'll be starting over completely at the quarterback position, right? So the next couple of years, right, you will not realistically be competing. You not will not realistically be competing. Because remember, this is there was it took 3 years for Jalen Hurts to get to where he got, and no, that's on the high end. He actually made the Super Bowl, did this and did that. A lot of these other guys taking over for quarterbacks, just like the Chargers replaced Philip Rivers with you know with Herbert. Herbert is a great talent, but he has not even won a playoff game for them yet. And this is going to be his fourth year going to the league in the league. So you cannot realistically, hey, how you doing today, man? I appreciate you. You can't realistically think you're going to compete with a young quarterback. You know, it's going to take a great roster construction, great everything around him to be competitive. And that is not what the Dallas Cowboys currently have, on the roster. We have a pass blocking line that is towards the bottom in pass protection. Right, they were 28 in 2021. They were at the bottom this year in pass protection. Outside of CD Lamb, you have wide receivers who were at the bottom of separation. So you don't have a loaded roster like when Dak Prescott took over. In 2016, Dak Prescott had the best offensive line in football. He had a decent defense. Ezekiel Elliott was an All-Pro running back. Dez Bryant, you know, was just a year removed from having a record-setting season, right? So there were weapons around Dak Prescott. There was a structure. There were things in place for Dak Prescott to be, you know, productive and successful. In his first start with the Cowboys. That infrastructure is no longer here. The offensive line is not that great. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, you do not have any real weapons. On the outside. And then you look at Ezekiel Elliott, there's talks about people trying to get rid of Ezekiel Elliott right now. Right? Tony Pollard's not even on the roster right now. So like the infrastructure for a young quarterback to be successful in Dallas is not there. And let's break it down even further, right? Let's break it down even further. When Dak Prescott is the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, they are a top offense. Like Dak Prescott has led the number one offense in the National Football League when healthy since 2019. When Dak Prescott is under center, the Cowboys score more points than any other offense. That includes Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. That includes the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. He outscores he puts up more points than all those guys when he is healthy, and he has done so for the past 4 seasons, right? So we already saw what the offense looked like, without Dak Prescott. People point to Cooper Rush being successful, but the offense was in the bottom 20s and everything. They were a bottom 20 scoring offense. They were a bottom 20 third down conversion offense. They were a bottom 20 offense in yardage. We were not good. We were not a good offense. We were really being carried by the defense. So that is the reality of Dak Prescott leaving the team. I'll check that, MB. We got that collab, HTM. I got some good content, brother. Okay, yeah, we'll rock, brother. We'll rock. Let me know something. Let me know something. Let me know something. But yeah, man, so Dak Prescott leaving this team would be an automatic rebuild situation for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Because this is not even a quarterback draft class that's considered to be high end, right? This isn't a quarterback draft class, that people think there's generational players in it. And people are wrong all the time. Like some of you guys might pan out, but there is no surefire way to improve over Dak Prescott. Secondly, let's just talk about the logistics of Dak Prescott not being on the team, right? It's not even possible this year for them to move Dak Prescott, right? That's not even something that's humanly possible to do. So, that's why the article starts with, this is his final year. So this season, Looking at Dak Prescott's contract this season. Hold on, I'm getting it pulled up. Dak Prescott is going to have, ooh, we he's going to have an $89 million dead cap hit if he was to be cut. If you cut Dak Prescott right now, the dead cap hit is $89 million. The potential out that they're talking about, right? The potential out that they're talking about in Dak Prescott contract is still $39.9 million in dead money. Now, the cap hit will be smaller, if he's cut after June 2nd in both of these scenarios. But, there's a lot of dead money to even consider. And really, when you're talking about getting rid of Dak Prescott, cutting him is the only way that you're going to get rid of him. Because people are talking about these scenarios where Dak Prescott gets traded. Like, Dak Prescott has a no trade clause in his contract. And, a lot of people are saying, well, people don't want to stay where they're not wanted. Yeah, but, they're also not going to help the team that doesn't want them to move on from them. The same way that Derek Carr made the Raiders cut him instead of okaying a trade to any place, it's the same thing that Dak Prescott can do. So theoretically, hey, they come to Dak Prescott and say, hey, we don't want you no more. Cool. He will force them to cut him. Because whatever team that Dak Prescott wants to go to, they will have to give up a lot of assets to get him. I know a lot of people are down on Dak Prescott, but he's a starting caliber quarterback, right? He's has one of the highest winning percentages in NFL history. He has like the fifth most wins since entering the league in 2016. And he has multiple playoff wins, right? I know people talk about Dak Prescott not having playoff success, but there's a very short list of starting quarterbacks in the NFL who have multiple playoff wins, and Dak Prescott is one of them. So he has a big market. He has a huge market actually, if we're being honest. However, you know, to get Dak Prescott, that team is probably gonna have to give up a first round pick and some assets and things like that, which would hinder the team from being competitive when Dak Prescott got there. So, you know, what would happen is Dak Prescott would probably force the Dallas Cowboys to cut him, and that same team that was interested in him, he could just sign with them as an unrestricted free agent. That's the same exact thing that happened, you know, when with Derek Carr. Derek Carr, he vetoed every trade. He made the Raiders cut him. So why would I, you're forcing me out. Why would I go to a team that's going to be depleted of resources because you tried to trade for me? When I can just say no to the trade. If you really don't want me that badly, you will cut me, and then I can go sign with that same team. That team will be in a better position to compete by me forcing my hand, by me not waiving my no trade clause, right? So people, the logistics and the common sense things, in trying to get rid of Dak Prescott is not realistic. And they already mentioned Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker is already 25 years old, right? Coming off of an injury. He had one good year as a college quarterback. I'm not knocking him. I actually do think he would be a great backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. The issue is that if people think that Hendon Hooker can come in and help lead us to a Super Bowl his rookie year, that's not what's going to happen. He's not going to come in and lead us to a Super Bowl, in his second year, not with the infrastructure that's already in place. So, realistically, like if you're talking about moving on from Dak Prescott, you were talking about starting all the way over. You're talking about giving Hendon Hooker the next 7 to 8 years like you gave Dak Prescott to get you there. But this window that we have right here is going to close, right? The window where you can try and compete is going to be closed because the dead money is going to hinder the team. You're not going to have an experienced quarterback who has already proven his value, right? And getting rid of Dak Prescott also hinders your ability to retain other players. The dead money hits on that will hinder your ability to re-sign guys like CeeDee Lamb and re-sign guys like Trayvon Diggs. So it's actually roster suicide to try and get rid of Dak Prescott. Why is Dak the only quarterback who failed this year? 31 starting quarterbacks who at home without a trophy. Yeah, he's not the only quarterback that failed this year. He's actually one of the more successful quarterbacks this year if you're basing it off of playoff success. Because last time I checked, there's only a handful of quarterbacks, that actually won a playoff game this year, and Dak Prescott is one. Hey, with Miss Evans, what's up with you? I appreciate you for tapping in with me. I appreciate you. More facts, DP. Yeah, like it makes no sense to try to get rid of Dak Prescott right now. Like you just won 12 games. You just won a road playoff game for the first time in 30 years. Dak Prescott put up what was statistically the best playoff performance in Dallas Cowboys history. 5 total touchdowns, no turnovers, had almost a perfect passer rating. Like he went crazy against the Bucks. So like Dak Prescott has afforded himself leeway. And also when we're talking about you know, cap hits and things like that, it actually makes more sense this offseason to extend. It makes more sense to extend Dak Prescott to lower his cap hit. Because remember, they backloaded Dak Prescott's contract so they could do stuff like this. Like year one of this contract, he played for $17 million. Last year, he played for $19 million. And this year is the first year of his contract where the cap hit actually goes up, and he's accounting for something against your roster, right? So they actually designed this contract for Dak Prescott to be extended around this time. They can extend Dak Prescott and clear up to $22 million in cap space for this season. This one roster move will give Dallas Cowboys $15 million in cap space to use because they're already $7 million over the cap. Giving Dak Prescott a 2 to 3 year extension can clear up to $22 million in cap space, putting Dallas Cowboys back into the clear by $15 million. It makes more sense to extend Dak Prescott, who just improved and won a playoff game. I will understand if we missed the playoffs. I would understand if he did not have an amazing playoff game. I will understand all these things. But Dak Prescott, I know that people are, what have you done for me lately? They don't count the first playoff game, but he did win a playoff game. He did that. Thoroughly outplayed Tom Brady. So I understand that he did not have a good second playoff game, but the only reason that you were there to be disappointed in Dak Prescott not playing well in the second playoff game because he played so great in the first one. So you have to give him credit for where credit is due. Yeah, he's not there. Dak Prescott's not going anywhere. There's already talks about Dak Prescott getting extended. Stephen White, hi y'all. What's up with you, Stephen? I appreciate you for tapping in. Cause yeah, the logistics on that doesn't even make sense. It doesn't. And listen, I'm not questioning the integrity of the guys that are reporting this, but there is no insider report. They're saying that they talked to somebody, this and that, but I have no reason to believe that it's true. None of us have any reason to believe that it's true. And honestly, we also know how the Dallas Cowboys handle contract negotiations. I live in Dallas. Every time I go somewhere just with Cowboys gear, people stop me and say, "What the Cowboys gonna do next year? We need to get rid of Dak." Oh man, ooh-wee. Yeah, that has to be hard. That has to be hard. Yeah, but I don't think getting rid of Dak Prescott, is the wise thing to do. Right? If you hey, listen, I'm always for upgrading the quarterback position or any position, but I'm not getting rid of a quarterback that's top 10 all time in completion percentage, right? Top 10 all time passer rating, top 10 all time TD to interception ratio, franchise leader in passing touchdowns in the season. Like he got all these accolades as an individual player, right? I'm not getting rid of him for a rookie, right? I'm not doing that. Like somebody that's in the top three, like let's say like Patrick Mahomes became a variable tomorrow, and he wanted to play for the Dallas Cowboys because he's a lifelong Dallas Cowboy fan. Okay, cool. I'll move on from Dak Prescott. Let's trade him to the Kansas City Chiefs, whatever. I'm not I'm not trading or cutting Dak Prescott to get a rookie. No, exactly. There are no options. They're talking about guys that have never played a snap in the NFL. Eli, what's up with you, man? There are no options to improve from Dak Prescott right now. Right, they're up here putting their hopes and prayers in guys who have never played in the NFL. Never played, never played. And people love potential over actual production, right? Because if you look at the actual production of Dak Prescott, right, it's no question that he's one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League. The guys that they always put over Dak Prescott are guys that have accomplished less than he has. So the grading scale that they put on Dak Prescott is not even the same that they put for everybody else. Because people tell me that Justin Herbert is such a great quarterback, you know, but he has accomplished less than Dak Prescott. Like Dak Prescott in his third year had already won a playoff game. He had already been to the playoffs 2 times. Had a winning record. Had a win loss record of 2-1 at 32-16. So Dak Prescott was actually more successful than Justin Herbert his first 3 years in the season. But they try to put him over Dak Prescott based on his potential. He's got a big arm, things like that. Like he got talent, but talent does not equate to production, and he has been less productive than Dak Prescott has. Let's be honest. Let's just have the honest conversation. At one point, people were trying to put Kyler Murray over Dak Prescott. Not too many people do it now, right? Not too many people will do it now. In fact, I have people telling me Ravens backup quarterback is better. Ravens backup quarterback ain't man, and it's crazy. I don't even know how he made the Pro Bowl selection. That's why when people be trying to use the Pro Bowl as some kind of crowning achievement, like man, like backups are going to the Pro Bowl at this point. Like it's a joke, man. The Pro Bowl is a joke, and it has been for quite some time. Yeah, NFL a whole different beast than college ball. Period. We don't need a rookie quarterback. No, you don't need a rookie quarterback. Jerry think he regrets Coop, huh? Keep playing with that. Yeah, man. Like Jerry is going to regret if they try to get rid of Dak Prescott, they will regret it because the worst fear for a Dallas Cowboy fan would be for one of our star players to go to a competently ran team. Imagine, you know, Dak Prescott going to a well-ran organization. Imagine C.D. Lamb, leaving and going to a well-ran organization, or Micah Parsons. Like we would hate that. We would hate that. Yeah, all pro selections trump Pro Bowl considerations all day, every day. Yeah, so yeah, no, it makes no sense to even consider moving on from Dak Prescott. It's just not feasible. And I don't even understand like how this is floating around. But to get back to my original thought on this, and the Dallas Cowboys do like to negotiate through the media. So what happened at first, they were reporting there's going to possibly be contract extension talks with Dak Prescott, for the cap purposes. Well, just because they're giving Dak Prescott an extension does not mean Dak Prescott will not want a pay raise, right? Because Kyler Murray is making $46 million a year annually, and he has done nothing in the NFL to deserve it, right? I'm not saying that Kyler Murray is a bad quarterback. He had potential, but he has a losing record as a starter. He's never thrown for 30 touchdowns in a season. He's never thrown for 4,000 yards. He's never won a playoff game. And Kyler Murray is making $46 million. Not even healthy right now, making $46 million. Dak Prescott, like I gave you the numbers. He just led the number one scoring offense in the NFL for the last 4 years when healthy. Just won his second playoff game, right? Has never had a losing record when he started double digit games. So Dak Prescott has all the leverage in the contract talks. They can't cut him. They can't trade him. Right? You can't really improve at the position. So there is no leverage in the contracts talk with Dak Prescott right now. So what I actually think is going on is the Cowboys are dropping these little shots in the media, these false reports. They're trying to create the semblance of leverage in a situation where they have no leverage. That's how the Dallas Cowboys negotiate these contracts, though. We seen it. We saw it the first time when Dak Prescott came up to get paid. We seen it with Ezekiel Elliott when he had to hold out and go to Cabo and they were dragging him through the media. We seen it with Dez Bryant with the alleged video that never surfaced. So the Dallas Cowboys don't play fair when it comes to contract negotiations. They want you to end up like LVE. They want to bend you over and you not say nothing about it. But when it actually comes down to it, I do think it's a contract negotiation. Facts, HTM Sports, and Dak Prescott is a made man. Yeah, Dak Prescott's a made man, dog. That man got all that guaranteed money. He got a no trade clause. Like, listen, getting rid of Dak Prescott is suicide. It's suicide. From your ability to compete, from your ability to manage your salary cap. Like you have there's no benefits from getting rid of Dak Prescott early. So like they could say what they want, but hey, old buddy had a bar. It said he said people talk a lot, but I don't get touched. Hey, Dak Prescott ain't getting touched. He ain't gonna get touched. But like there is nothing they can do to force Dak Prescott's hand. They can make him feel uncomfortable. They can criticize him, yada yada. They do that anyway. Henny, I'm glad Mike had enough power to get rid of Kellen and not get fired so Kellen can become the head coach. Yeah, man, like, hey, that was a real power move by Mike McCarthy. And I'm happy for him. Cause he has a chance to do something that not even Jason Garrett did. When Jason Garrett's job was on the line, he wanted to call the plays, and they told him no. Right? So even if Mike McCarthy might be coaching for his job, if it don't pan out, Mike McCarthy can say that he gave it his all and he did his best. If they handcuffed Jason Garrett with Kellen Moore, they made him let Kellen Moore call the plays. Jason Garrett asked for the ability to call plays again, and they denied him with his job on the line. He couldn't even fight for his own job. So more power to Mike McCarthy because he does have that chance, and that's all you can really ask for in situations like this is a chance to go out on your own accord. Yeah, so I just have to speak on that, man. And look, I have nothing against the two gentlemen that were reporting on it. I don't listen to the show. I don't listen to radio or nothing like that. But I'm pretty sure they're decent people. I'm guessing they're reporting on what they heard. But it makes no sense for the Dallas Cowboys to blow up, the team, when they were a couple of plays away from making the NFC Championship game. When you make it to the second round and you only lose by a score, that's not even really a game worth of a game that you drop. You had a couple of bad plays that determined the outcome of that. So they're a couple of plays away from getting back to the NFC Championship game. Dallas Cowboys need to be trying to extend Dak Prescott to clear up some roster room so they can retool, improve this wide receiving core that is lacking behind CD Lamb, improve this offensive line that has struggled to pass block for the past 4 seasons. Right, there are things the Dallas Cowboys need to be trying to do instead of getting rid of their quarterback. There are easier things to do than get rid of Dak Prescott. And honestly, it would be a similar situation to the Amari Cooper, to what they did with Amari Cooper, if that were to happen. They traded away Amari Cooper, and they were hoping and praying, that everybody could step up. CeeDee Lamb stepped up, and he took up the slack for Amari Cooper. The problem with that, though, nobody stepped up and took up the slack that CeeDee Lamb was giving you as the second option. Right? They were asking Noah Brown to play beyond his means. They were asking Michael Gallup, who was not fully healthy, to play above his means. They asked T.Y. Hilton to come off the couch and contribute in playoff games in the postseason. So the Dallas Cowboys mismanaged the wide receiver position this year. So it will just be a repeat doing the same thing to Dak Prescott at the quarterback position. Because right now, under contract right now, You only have Will Greer as a quarterback on the roster. Cooper Rush is a free agent. If you were to get rid of Dak Prescott, Will Greer will be your starting quarterback week one. Because remember, there is no guarantees that you can get C.J. Stroud, and there's still no guarantees, no matter if he falls, that you get Hendon Hooker, right? So then you'll be talking about going in with a quarterback prospect that's outside of the top five. Like, why would I replace Dak Prescott, with a Hoodlum? What's up with you, man? I appreciate you for tapping in with me. Why would I want to start over with a prospect outside of the top five in his own draft class and expect him to come in and you know give me what a top 10 quarterback in the league is giving me right now? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And the Dallas Cowboys do have a way of doing things that don't make any sense. I already mentioned what happened with Amari Cooper. So if something stupid were to happen like that, like you can't, I wouldn't have any words for it. But it doesn't seem likely that Dak Prescott is not a Dallas Cowboy for at least the next 4 or 5 years. It makes way too much sense to extend him. What receiver would you want to see the Cowboys get? I have a laundry list of wide receivers I would like the Dallas Cowboys to go out and try and get. Jerry Judy is one. Like I said, it's not my original idea. It's actually something that I got from Landlord. So y'all got to give Landlord love for that one, because that boy right there, he really had me thinking about it, and it makes too much sense. If you were going to draft a wide receiver in the second round, why not spend that second round for Jerry Judy, who already has been pretty productive in the league? He just has not taken that step as a star wide receiver. But we're talking about upgrading the wide receiver position. He will be a clear cut improvement over Michael Gallup. For what Michael Gallup has given you the past two or three seasons, Jerry Judy, has been more productive than him. And he's been healthy. So I would trade my second or my third round pick for Jerry Judy if we were going that route. Landlord, my guy, but he would draft me if I played for Bama. Hey, that's partially true, but you know, Jalen, like he was never a big Jalen Hurts fan. So that's how I knew that Jalen Hurts had to be flawed in college. Ty or OBJ. You see, if Odell Beckham is healthy and he ain't asking for $20 million, I definitely would get Odell Beckham, right? Because when he's healthy, like he's still explosive, he's still a great wide receiver, and we wouldn't be asking him to be the star on the team. That's what CD Lamb's there for. That's what 88 is for, right? But I could definitely see a scenario, where Odell Beckham can contribute to us. It's just gonna actually matter about you know his ability to stay healthy, the amount of money he's asking for, things like that. Judy Cooks, D Hop, yeah, like D Hop. That's a very interesting one in of itself, because he was just working out with Dez Bryant. The Dallas Cowboys cannot talk to him because that would be tampering, because free agency has not started. But maybe Dez Bryant put a bug in his ear about the possibility of coming and putting a star on his helmet. He would still be. And listen, like what's crazy is like DeAndre Hopkins is a guy whose skill sets, is very similar to CD Lamb. He's like was CD Lamb before CD Lamb. Explosive. He really, man, like he's a dog still. He's a dog still. I know people were talking crazy about him because of what happened with the people allegedly having EPDs or whatever. But he still has 1,700 yards and over 1,700 yards in only nine games. Still would easily be your second best wide receiver. Some days he might be your best wide receiver, depending on how he's feeling. So yeah, a guy with his pedigree, I would definitely do. I'm surprised Henny ain't complaining about Robert Prince still being. Oh, I am, but I can't worry about that now. Not right now. You know, I'm gonna give Robert Prince, one more shot. Since Mike McCarthy cleared house, and that was the one guy that they kept. like I'm gonna give him a shot. However, there were way too many instances where wide receivers were getting their hands on the ball and was getting bounced, to defenders. Right, there's way too many instances of guys getting hit in the hands and getting hit in the chest with footballs, and it's turning into interceptions. So that is definitely on the wide receiver coach. If it was just one player that happened to, cool. Like they need to get better. But your entire wide receiving core, had instances where they had drops turn into interceptions, or they gave up on routes and it turned into interceptions. Like that is coaching. Henny, have you seen Callaway off practice squad? He got skills. Yeah, Callaway, if I'm not mistaken, man, he was a former first round pick or something like that. I know Antonio Callaway had what were he drafted at? I know he was a former high pick. No, I think he was a former fourth round pick if I'm not mistaken. Played at Florida. He has potential, but like he hasn't really done anything in the league in quite some time. Because looking here, he hasn't started a meaningful game in the NFL since 2019. He's been on everybody practice squad. He's been on this and that. He's been out the league. So he has potential, but I just got to see him get back on the field. He hasn't played meaningful football in 4 seasons. I don't want MT or Jarvis Landry too. Yeah, see the thing about I don't want Jarvis Landry because he's slow. Nothing against him as a route runner, but he's older in age. He's not very fast, and we already have a wide receiving core that doesn't have a lot of explosiveness and a lot of speed. Every guy I want to add to this team, he said we'll give you Quez Watkins for Elliott. Broski, the crazy thing is I do like Quez Watkins. I did see some of the bad plays he made. Like he dropped the the drop he had in the Super Bowl might have cost y'all the game, honestly. But I like Quez Watkins, from a measurable standpoint. The boy run a run a 4.3. He had pretty decent size and acceleration. I just don't understand why he hasn't put it all together yet. But I don't want to trade away Ezekiel Elliott. I would rather restructure Ezekiel Elliott and keep him on the team. Like a lot of the fan base are down on Zeke, but I think when healthy, Zeke Elliott can still contribute. The man had 12 rushing touchdowns, and people love Tony Pollard, but Tony only had 130 more yards than Zeke did, right? And Zeke missed 2 games, so I think Ezekiel Elliott is still worth keeping around at a reduced cap hit, especially you know if Schottenheimer's scheme is going to get used. If it's going to be Schottenheimer's scheme with Mike McCarthy calling the plays, we need multiple running backs because Schottenheimer has a very run-heavy offensive scheme. He was accused of not letting Russell Wilson cook, but surprisingly, Russell Wilson actually had his best statistical seasons in Brian Schottenheimer's offense, so that was never true. But yeah, it's a lot of play action, a lot of power runs, a lot of stretches with some West Coast offense principles in the passing game. So you're gonna need running backs. You're gonna need running backs that can carry a load. Ezekiel Elliott has proven that he has durability. He even plays through injury. That's really part of the reason why people don't like Zeke. He puts out bad tape because he plays through a lot of injuries. If I'm Dak, I'm on the phone with JJ telling him to stop slandering my name, or I can make it real interesting for you. Nah, for real. But Daisy Clark, good morning, Henny. Hey, good morning, Daisy. I appreciate you for tapping in with me. So yeah, they playing on my boy Top, and Dak Prescott seemed like an easy target because he's such a cool, calm, collected guy. He seemed like a real generally nice person. So he ain't. I don't think Dak Prescott is the kind of person to publicly cuss people out, do this or do that. Like they would not try this with Lamar Jackson. There are certain guys they wouldn't try this with Aaron Rodgers because he's throwing everybody under the bus. Right? I don't think it's in Dak Prescott's character to play dirty with the front office. He probably needs to. He probably needs to, but I don't think that's in his character. We need to keep Avante. Listen, Josh Ball is the guy that needs to be off the team. I've seen enough from Collins to see the potential there with him as a tackle. So yeah, Josh Ball is the guy that needs to be off the team. If anybody has to be a casualty, it needs to be Ball because he has not played well at any given point. He did not play well in preseason. In the limited snaps he has gotten, he has not played well. Then I do not see the reason to keep Josh Ball taking up a roster spot. If you were getting whooped by, listen, he was getting whooped by guys. They got 9 to 5 jobs right now. There are guys out there selling insurance. Guys out there with CDLs driving trucks that done whooped up on Josh Ball and got pressures and made him look bad in the preseason. There are guys that are not even in the NFL anymore that told Josh Ball up. So nah, he does not need to have a roster spot on this team. He might have blackmailed somebody, and that's why he's still here. But just based on his skill set, hell no. Like there, if Josh Ball, he said Josh Ball is a good run blocker. That's about the only thing Josh Ball is good, and I think he's average at that. If I'm being honest with you, if I'm being honest with you, like I think he is just okay as a run blocker, and I'll say what he's probably like a C minus as a run blocker and an F as a pass blocker. Yeah, so I don't necessarily think Josh Ball is an NFL's caliber tackle. Yeah, what's up with your action, pal? What's up with you, man? I appreciate you tapping in with me. Yeah. So yeah, like now that's my piece on that. But yeah, I definitely will get Avante. No, if Aviante Collins. I be butchering these boys' names early in the morning, man. I'm sorry about that. I would definitely give him way more burn than I would Josh Ball because he's earned it. Because listen, Collins looked good in preseason. If the pass rusher was a defenseless woman, Josh, oh, you wrong. I caught that reference though. For a lot of y'all that do not know, Josh Ball got in trouble for beating up his old lady. Right, he got in a lot of trouble for domestic violence. So my thing, you have issues like that, you can't then turn around and be getting a little bored by grown men. Right? If you a violent person, be a violent person. Don't just be violent with your old lady. You got these other grown men out here sunning you, slapping you around, throwing you around all over the field. So you can't do something like that and then be bad in something physical. In my eyes, you can't be you can't be a woman beater and then be sorry on the field too. Like that's two strikes. You need to be out the league. You can't be ass at your job and ass as a person. So yeah, that's how I feel about Josh Ball. Like he doesn't play well enough to garner a roster spot. He has already has the red flags. So get him off the team. He ain't that good. He is not that good. He ain't like Ray Lewis. Have those allegations and he's a Hall of Fame caliber player. You got to keep him around. Hell no. Nah. Josh Ball ain't worth a quarter in any aspect. Fact, because if I can't grab my woman, you better not grab your man card pool period. Yeah, yeah. Because listen, your offensive lineman. If the only person you can hem up is your old lady, you need to be off the team. Because you have not shown me anything on the football field. You're trash as a left tackle. You're trash as a person. You don't need to be wearing the star. Yeah, and that was even a worse roster move. They kept Josh Ball and they got rid of Ridgeway. And and I love Ridgeway because I'm from Arkansas. I watch all the Arkansas Razorback football games. I'm from El Dorado, Arkansas originally. So them getting rid of Ridgeway and then him turning around And starting for the dang Commanders was a slap in the face. We could have had two productive players at the fifth round starting high value pick, no high value production for fifth round prices, and we let him walk to keep somebody that's not even get on the field. That is crazy to me. And I do understand we were very deep at the defensive tackle position, but I'll be honest with you, with the way that Neville Gallimore has played, right? Like I would have probably leaned. In hindsight, 2020. Don't get me wrong. I would have probably leaned toward keeping Ridgeway for what Neville gave me. So yeah, that was a bad roster move keeping Josh Ball, letting Tristan Hill and Ridgeway, more so Ridgeway, because I think Tristan Hill has potential still, but like we already seen what Ridgeway can do. Year one is a dog, and he's a long line of players that the Dallas Cowboys cut or traded away that end up developing into somebody. Because remember, we're up here talking about Neville Gallimore will always be a three tech no matter how big he gets. Yeah, they just need to let Neville Gallimore be his natural position. He'll be more productive doing that. But yeah, remember, because this is not the first time that this has happened, right? We traded away, what's the boy name? Because it's finna. Oh, we traded away Shavarius Ward, right? You may know him. He started at cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was a Dallas Cowboy first. He started in two Super Bowls. Just started in the NFC Championship game, right? Because he left Kansas City, then went to the 49ers. But before all of that, we traded him to the Chiefs for an offensive lineman that's not even in the league anymore. Cause we could already had our cornerback two position sold up, but we had a guy right underneath our nose who fit the bill for everything we needed. Is a Super Bowl champion, is a highly touted man coverage guy, and we let him lead the building for a guy who was not even in the NFL anymore. So like we have made some very questionable roster moves, in the past. Ridgeway is just one of the guys that's on a long list of them. I can go even further than that, but I don't like reopening old wounds. Gallimore was on skate this year, a little too much for me. Yeah, man, Gallimore, and I can see why the Cowboys like Gallimore. He has potential. He has the ability to push the pocket in pass rushing situations. But you already have Osa. You really have two guys that do the same thing, and Osa does it better. Yeah, Osa does it better. So that's really the issue with Neville Gallimore. He's not like there is a role for him, but he's not good enough to take that role from the guy that's already playing the role. So him playing out of position is his really his only chance to get snaps. It's not really working. Dallas Cowboys just need to give up on that. Especially we need some more size in the middle. What's up, Henny? Cuts needed to save $11 million. Gallimore, Hooker, Jay Lewis. I agree with Gallimore. I like Jordan Lewis a lot, but I do agree with that. Dallas Cowboys are going to have to retain. They're gonna have to do something different at free safety. Malik Hooker has, he has given us very good production. He has stayed healthy. He has played up to his contract, but he does not have the back end speed that he used to have. When he first came out. All these constant injuries have robbed him of that. He's still a very solid player, but he does not have the elite sideline to sideline speed that he used to have that made him a first round pick. So I can understand wanting to move on from Malik Hooker. I would need the Dallas Cowboys to address it though. They need to go out in free agency or go out in the draft and address that and address that position because remember there was a long time where safety was so neglected here in Dallas. Eastside Harris said the champ is here. What's up, my guy? How you living, my brother? How you living, my guy? Get rid of Lewis and Gallimore. Yeah, like it's a no brainer to get rid of Jordan Lewis because Jordan Lewis technically does not even have a job right now. Jordan Lewis would have been the starting slot corner, and Deron Bland has played way too well right now to supplant him. Right, like Deron Bland is playing out of his mind. So I'm not and he's cheaper. Let's be honest. You can save money cutting J. Lou. Deron Bland is cheaper. He already showed you what he can do with the snaps. So you're moving backwards by going back to Jordan Lewis. Now Jordan Lewis want to play for like 500K and be the fourth cornerback. If he want to be the fourth cornerback in like dime sets or something, then yeah, let him stay at a reduced rate. But we actually do have some pretty solid depth at cornerback. Those three cuts can help you sign Wagner now. Yeah, I agree with that. Landlord, what's happening, man? What happened, my guy? Hey, for y'all who do not know, me and Landlord from Alabama will be going live later on. We're gonna be doing a super show over Dak Prescott, and we're gonna be seeing, you know, if he is really the culprit behind these interceptions. Landlord already did the tedious task of putting together the film, so shout outs to him for doing that. That's like 90% of the hard work my brother put in. Like Landlord really does a lot of work behind the scenes for y'all who don't know when we do these shows. This man creates the thumbnails. He goes out and he breaks down and he gets the film together. So like man, like Landlord makes all this stuff possible. So shout outs to my brother Landlord for rocking with me so tough, man. We have the money if we redo deals like 55 million. Jones don't want to spend the money. Yeah, there's a lot of roster moves that we can make to clear cap space, man. There's a lot of roster moves that we can make to clear cap space. Just like one of them we've been talking about, you could save $20 million alone by restructuring Dak Prescott. Oh, you welcome anytime, Kenfo. I always gotta give my boys they flowers, man, when they doing the damn thing, and you doing the damn thing, Kenfo. So yeah, man. You could save $22 million by restructuring Dak Prescott. You can cut Jordan Lewis. Boom, you save $1 million. You can cut Gallimore and save money. Really, you can cut Malik Hooker if you're not happy with his production. I'm sort of in the middle right now because we can get worse at the position, right? Because I've seen how they addressed the safety position in the past. So I'm in the middle on that. But to their credit, they upgraded, from KZ to Hooker. So maybe they'll do the right thing to upgrade Hooker to another player, right? But if they can't go out there and upgrade the position, then keep them. If you're not going to upgrade the safety position, then keep them there. He said you can cut Dorrance Armstrong and save $5 million. You can. You can also extend Dorrance Armstrong while he's still cheap and save around the same amount of money. It just depends on what you feel about Dorrance Armstrong. Because when you're looking at that position at defensive end, defensive and pass rusher, then you know that there's not a lot of guys that are going to be under contract that much longer. The Marcus Lawrence contract is not for that much longer, and he's getting older, right? So these younger pass rushers, instead of cutting them outright, like you might want to extend them. Just in case, you might want to extend them because if he has another breakout season, if Dorrance Armstrong can give me 10 sacks this season, oh yeah, he should definitely get a contract extension. If he a 10 sack guy this year, give him a contract extension because the shelf life on the other guys you have is not really that long. Namely D Law. You got to get younger. Yeah, you can cut Tyrus Smith and save $10 million as well. Hey, I'm leaning towards it. I know that a lot of people, still want to hang on to Tyrus Smith a little bit longer. Yeah, that a lot of people still want to get, Tyrus Smith up there. But he only played 17 games in the last 3 years. He's missed 33 games in the last 3 seasons, so that's roughly He averaging out to he missed 11 games a year. So you can't pay somebody $10 million for a guest appearance. And I like Tyron Smith. Like when he's healthy, I still think he's one of them ones. It just the problem is my guy is never healthy no more. And a lot of folks say, man, like availability is the best ability. So I fool with him, but we cut Ward coming out of camp. Yeah, actually you traded Ward because you still have Ward under contract. Because Ward got traded. Let me tell you, Travarius Ward. Boom. Yeah, I thought he got cut too until I did some more research. Yeah, so listen here. Ward competed to be the fifth cornerback on the active roster. Boom. On August 30th, 2018, the Kansas City Chiefs traded offensive guard Parker Ehinger to the Dallas Cowboys in exchange for Ward to provide needed depth for their offensive line. Right, so he ended up a Kansas City Chief in 2018. Matter of fact, we traded Ward away the same year that we picked him up as an undrafted free agent. So he was really in Dallas for a cup of coffee. Look at the names of the cornerbacks we kept over here. We kept Marquez White. We kept Duke Thomas. We kept Donovan Olumba. None of those guys actually panned out. Not a single one of those guys panned out. Because right now Marquez White is out of the league. Like he was out of the league. He ended up playing for the Orlando Apollos, whatever the hell that is. And then he ended up playing for the St. Louis Battlehawks in 2020. He was out the league, right after that. All the other guys were out the league, and we kept. And listen, I'm not question. No, I'm not gonna just sit here and pile on. But like they made a bad assessment. It happens sometimes, right? They don't like these guys are professional, but they don't always get it. They don't always get it right. Yeah, Ward is a game changer. Like Ward is not a guy that gives up a lot of big plays. He's very sticky in man-to-man coverage. He's aggressive. So like Travarius Ward, man, like he is a great player. I still want him. Like he becomes a free agent again, I would definitely, go out there and try to get his services. But yeah, let's see. Run game is better without Tyron Smith. His body does not let him be physical in run game, and that hurt us last year when Steele went down. Yeah, yeah, I understand why people want to. And listen, he only played 3 games, so like I like Tyron Smith, but like availability is one of the key reasons that I don't need him here anymore. Right? You gave me 3 games, and then the 3 games that I let you play, I didn't trust you to even play left tackle. We moved you to right tackle. So they already done took the man's job. When Terrence Steele is healthy, there's no way that Tyron Smith plays over there over him when Terrence Steele is a natural right tackle. So I think the writing is on the wall. Is probably on the wall, and I think it's not going to even be as crazy as it sounds. I think that Tyron Smith is probably going to retire. Like I think they'll let Tyron Smith retire with dignity before they outright cut him, and then they'll rework and get most of that money back. Move KJ to free safety. He played it at Kentucky. All he has to do is not get beat deep and we good. KJ will hit you. Yeah, you know what? There is actually merit to that when you look at the advanced numbers for KJ. For Boss Man Fat, he is a much he is a much higher graded run defender as and tackler than he is a coverage guy. So with him being already at the back end, playing downhill basically, and side to side, like I can trust him. I can trust him. West Coast even said he doesn't think he has hips to be a cornerback. So I can see why there's some intrigue in moving him to free safety. And Coach Marvin, I appreciate you always for tapping in with me, brother. I appreciate you always for tapping in with me, man. Your insight, is very valued over here. So salute to you. let's see, Wagner for me for linebacker. Yeah, like adding Wagner is a no brainer. And what's sad though, what disappointed me is the number of Cowboy fans that I saw talking and saying that Leighton Vander Esch was a better linebacker than Bobby Wagner. Like a lot of these people are listening to, I don't know where the hell they even getting this from, right? So maybe they saw he got cut and just assumed that he wasn't playing good, or maybe they saw one play or something and they thought that he was having a bad season or something. I don't get it, right? To even for anybody to type that and for real, landlord, they said it. They typed it out. They were loud and wrong on their statuses, bro. They said, I don't want Bobby Wagner. Give me Leighton Vander Esch. I'm like, what the? Who raised you? You obviously do drugs. Not the good kind either. Cause yeah, man, like look, Bobby Wagner had more tackles. He made an all pro team. He had more sacks. He had more interceptions. He had more tackles for loss. He had a higher grade than he beat LVE in everything across the board. Games played. He played more games. Older player, but still played more games than LVE did. Yeah, 140 tackles, 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, 10 quarterback hits, multiple hurries. Um, he had a bunch of. He was going crazy. Nah, ain't no. They on dog food, landlord. There's not even no quality. They on dog food, boy. They down bad. They said they said give me LVE. I'm like, oh man, like you should hide the tracks on your arms before you say that again. That'll be a fun breakdown for both of us, landlord. Is Wagner a middle linebacker because Vander Esch is a weak side? And this is the thing: Leighton Vander Esch, by trait, is a weak side linebacker. The problem was they had him playing middle linebacker because he was the only guy they could trust to do it. He was the only guy who had been inside of the defensive system long enough to call that. Right? They don't really want Michael Parsons to do it because he's still young and he had to spend a lot of time at middle linebacker. Michael Parsons has been mainly rushing the passer since he got into the NFL. So by hook and crook, Leighton Vander Esch was playing middle linebacker. That's why really I wasn't as hard on LVE as everybody else because he was playing outside of position and playing pretty decent as a middle linebacker. So I was grading LVE performance on a learning curve. But Bobby Wagner is a true middle linebacker. He actually diagnoses the plays. He actually calls the defensive audibles. He actually gets guys lined up. He actually has spent over 10 years in the NFL doing that. So, obviously he would be better suited at that. DA is our best trade chip. Rotation DE with 8.5 seconds worth something. We should trade or extend now. Otherwise, SJ going to be talking tag next year. Yeah, man. And I don't understand the value in tagging players. Because when you tag guys, you give them all this guaranteed money for a 1 year deal no matter what happens. And I know I sound like a broken record when I bring this up. You gave Dak Prescott a franchise tag over $30 million. He only played 5 games. You still paid him $30 million. Guaranteed money. Just for him to be a free agent again. And what's crazy though, if they had not retained Dak Prescott and he became an outright free agent the following year, you would have paid him $30 million. Then he could have went and signed somewhere else and been a pain in your for the next 10 years. Like that's why I don't like giving folks the franchise tag. Like there's no guarantees after that. This guy could be on a whole entire team next season. And the cap hit is never better. It's never better. You can just give a player a big signing bonus, backload the contract, have him playing for well under the tag for the first 2 seasons of the contract. So it makes no sense. The thing is, they know they were going to have to sign him. Yeah, but they could have mitigated some of that. Some Cowboy fans like linebackers that don't tackle. We called we killed Jalen when he had 145 tackles in a year and called him trash. LVE gets 70 and we want to keep him. Oh, you preaching in here, Coach. You preaching in here. Yeah, for any listen. And what's crazy is if Jalen Smith was so trash, right? If he was this bad, like why is he still a starting linebacker in the NFL? He is still a starting middle linebacker in the NFL to this day. Starting and listen, it's not like he's starting on a bad team. He's starting. The New York Giants won a playoff game this year. They were in the same boat as we were. They went to the playoffs and they advanced. Jalen Smith played a big part in it. So like that is crazy. And you know what? Jalen Smith, even though he had drop foot, has still managed to play, you know, more consistently than LVE has. Even though that happened, like he had that red shirt year to start, he played so much. He has played so much more football than LVE has due to LVE having all these constant injuries. So though that's something to think about. He was available. He has been available for his team. But yeah, man, like LVE needs to be gone. And listen, I am not a guy that hates LVE by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's a pretty solid player. But that is a position that we can easily improve on without giving up draft capital or assets. All we gotta do is open up our checkbook. All we gotta do. And listen, if it come down between paying LVE $8 to $10 million and paying Bobby Wagner $8 to $10 million, it's not even a choice. If an $8 to $10 million contract is what LVE wants, and $8 to $10 million contract is what Bobby Wagner wants, then like it's no question. Because we're not talking about a player in Bobby Wagner that was asking for a Brinks truck. He was playing for $10 million a year. So like it's an easy ad, and it's not a lot of money. So you get to add a veteran player with a big name, at a low cap hit. It actually, if you put it in that context, it screams Stephen Jones, right? Stephen Jones can sign this man to a 3-year, $27 million a year deal, average out at like $9 million a year, mostly guaranteed, low cap hit. Man, like he be winning. He would be keeping Bobby Wagner for the remainder of his career, basically. And you can have him in the linebacker room, grooming these young guys behind him. He can get Damone Clark ready to take over for him when it's time for him to retire. He can get these guys playing up to speed, lined up. He can alleviate the pressure of J-Ron Curse and Donovan Wilson having to play so much big nickel. Yeah, Roquan Smith is getting $10 million. It was getting $20 million a year. Bobby Wagner signed for 5 years, $50 million. So his contract was very friendly. Because listen, at this stage of his career, Bobby Wagner has made all the money in the world. He's on like it's gonna be his third contract. He is not going out there trying to reset the market. He's going out there to try and compete for another title before he leaves out to the NFL. And he did his part for the Rams. The Rams were a bad team, but Bobby Wagner played amazingly. So that is like a non issue. The money is a non issue. And even if it was, like I need the fan base to stop worrying about Stephen Jones' money. Because Stephen Jones and Jared Jones are billionaires with a B. Multi-time billionaires. Over and over billionaires. Right? I don't care if they have to overspend. Get us the players we need to compete for a Super Bowl. That should be the only thing. Wagner, Clark, and a second or third round linebacker, and we good. Yeah. Even further with that, right? I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to play some of the guys that they already drafted, on at the strong side linebacker spot. Right. I think Malik Jefferson is going to get some burn. I think the other boy that they brought in is going to get some burn. That's how they do. Because if they bring in one stud linebacker, the guy that they are already high on the team, they're gonna let them play because they're gonna need the big dog and keep them in line. Right, so I can see Malik Jefferson getting burned. I can see the other boy, and I keep calling him the other boy. Let me pull up his name, man. Because that's gonna bother me. I like saying people's names because they had got rid of him and they brought him back. So let me see if I can find his name. If y'all know his name, put it in the comment box because y'all know it's early in the morning still. I'm up here trying to keep it together. But yeah, I definitely see Wagner and Clark being here, Jefferson. So like yeah, I think we'll be set. We just need to get that one dog in the middle of the defense. Especially now that reports are that that Payne is not going to hit the open market. That he's probably going to get franchise tagged. If we cannot improve the middle of the defense, we can at least improve the middle linebacker position to try and mitigate some of that. LBE is an easy sign for Stephen. It was last year because the market is bare for LBE. Well, LBE had a much better season this year around. And listen, if LBE is going to play for donuts and a glass of milk like he did this season, get the deal done. But look, signing LBE and bringing him back does not stop you from bringing in Bobby Wagner, right? Because LBE can go back to playing weak side linebacker, and Bobby Wagner can get him lined up. You can turn LBE back into a heat-seeking missile. LBE having to read a defense, you know, analyze the play, get everybody lined up is taken away from what LBE does best. LBE playing downhill was an all-pro linebacker at one point. Now his injury history has kept him from being that, for quite some time. But he is a much better weak side linebacker than he is a middle linebacker. So, getting somebody to be a true middle linebacker can extend the career of LVE. If we're being honest, you can get your money's worth. You can marry the two. If you sign LVE for 3 years or 2 years, sign Bobby Wagner for the next 2 to 3 years. Keep them together. Keep them together. And it wouldn't put that much pressure on the younger guys to come in. So there's ways to do things and still be smart about it. Right? You can keep LVE as long as you don't have LVE playing out position again. Right? You can call on these young guys to fill in here and there as long as they're not the primary guy you depend on. So I could see it working out that way. But that's entirely too smart, right? That's not usually what the Dallas Cowboys like to do. You think they'd be better than him? It's a possibility. But I do not listen. If LBE is brought back, he does not need to be the middle linebacker. If LBE is brought, and listen, if LBE has to play middle linebacker, he'll play middle linebacker will prevent them from signing Bobby Wagner. So hell no. If signing LBE stops them from bringing in Bobby Wagner, then don't do it. Then don't do it. I'm tired of. Listen, I don't like guys playing outside of their natural positions, just because the Dallas Cowboys were too lazy to actually go out and address the need. Right. I did not like Byron Jones playing safety all those years when he was a cornerback in college. It made no sense because you needed a safety. You converted a cornerback into a safety, and then the moment you moved him back to cornerback, he blossomed. Right. I don't like that. Like we were talking about Neville Gallimore. You needed like he's a natural 3 tech. Like you moved him outside of his position because you had a positional need instead of leaving where he is best at. Right. That's what they have done. And with LVE, right, playing middle linebacker when he's a weak side linebacker because you have a position of need at middle linebacker that you did not want to go out and overtly address. So listen to me. I don't want anybody on my team brought back if they're not going to play their natural position. If they're not going to play their natural position, do not bring them back and muddy the water for everybody else. So if he's going to be brought back to play middle linebacker, then please just go get Bobby Wagner, who is an actual middle linebacker and who is actually better. You will actually get your money's worth. Just because you can save a couple dollars on something does not mean you still get your money worth out of it. Because if you're paying LVE $5 million to be a middle linebacker, you're not getting your money's worth. Because he's not a $5 million middle linebacker. He's like a $1 million middle linebacker or whatever. Bobby Wagner is actually worth the money. He's really a $20 million linebacker based on his All Pro selection, but he's going to be playing for $8 to $10 million. So you get your money tenfold by signing Bobby Wagner. What do you think about Tremaine Edmonds, young, explosive, and fills a void? I think that he is a young guy who is going to get paid like he's a young guy. I think Tremaine Edmonds is already outside of the price range for somebody like Stephen Jones. I think he will add value to this team. He's long, he's rangy, he's a great run defender. He has played meaningful football for the past several seasons. He was playing starting in an AFC Championship game. So I think he's a great player. I think he would fit perfectly with what Dallas does. The issue is because I know how Stephen Jones operates. I don't think he'll pay him what he's worth. Matter of fact, you brought him up. Let's talk about his money. Let's see what he's supposed to be worth. Let's see his market value. So let's see. Okay, well this is interesting. This is very interesting, actually. They claim, I'm sure his contracts will be bigger than this though, because he's never been paid before. They claim that his market value is only $11 million a year. So that might be somebody that I would sign in if it's only $11 million a year. If you're comfortable paying, the only way young guys to show their worth is to play. Wilson, Bland, Casey started three rookie in the secondary. They let them play and get better. Yeah, I feel that, but that's why I said we can't bring LVE back if he's gonna have to be. You said like he was a bargain for Stephen Jones to get done. I don't want that deal if he's gonna have to play outside of position, because the issue is not at weak side linebacker. The issue is at middle linebacker where LVE is playing. So yeah, so like LVE coming back is a no go if it hinders us getting an actual middle linebacker in the building. But yeah, if we're talking, listen, it sounds crazy to me if they're willing to go out and pay Dalton Schultz $10 million on a 1 year deal, Tony Pollard $10 million on a 1 year deal, then signing anybody to a 10 or 11 $1 million a year deal on a multi-year contract makes sense. So that there's really no excuse looking at the linebacker market. If Tremaine Edmonds is only projected to be an $11 million a year player, if Bobby Wagner is only projected to be a $8 to $10 million a year player, there's no reason to have a void at middle linebacker. I love Tremaine Edmonds for this defense. I do too. LV and Barr did what they could. Yeah, like Barr was a guy I beat the table for, and he disappointed me. No, I'm not the guy to hide my hands when I'm wrong. Like I was definitely wrong about what Anthony Barr could give us. But you know what? I will not. I will just you look at you do what you can. You look at the tape. You look at the numbers, and you try to project what they would do in your defense. It didn't work out in this instance. That's really why I can't be too hard on the Dallas Cowboys for missing on Charvarius Ward. They're in day in and day out. They probably saw more Quez White and these other guys and thought they had more potential than he did. It didn't end up being the case, but I can understand how guys get it wrong. I can understand how guys get it wrong because I get it wrong all the time. No reason, get good, DT too. Yeah, especially man, look, if you are realistically trying to compete for a Super Bowl, you have to spend money. There's no way around that at this point. If you really want to go out and compete for a Super Bowl like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Philadelphia Eagles or the 49ers, and you want to be these teams that consistently make it to the NFC Championship game, you got to spend. You got to spend money. And you know what? The Dallas Cowboys have been the second cheapest team in the NFL for the past 5 seasons, according to one report that I read. They're like, there's 30 teams that spent more money than the Dallas Cowboys have. So you don't win. You don't get to the NFC Championship games doing that. You don't. You don't. So hey man, I've been on here for an hour and 20. So I do appreciate y'all for tapping in with me. So like I said, me and Landlord will be going live again. We're gonna be doing a super show. We're gonna be breaking down the film around Dak Prescott. You know, we'll be looking at the interceptions, all 15 regular season ones at least. I don't know if he got the two from the playoffs in there, but you know we will be breaking it down to see who was at fault, what happened, what went wrong, and you know we'll be honest about our analysis. When it's his fault, we're going to say it's his fault. When somebody else messed up or it's an obvious tip leading to an interception, we're going to speak on it. So be sure to tune in. You know, the closer it gets to time, you know we'll be posting the start time for it. But hey, please go to the page. It's HTM Sports on YouTube. Type it in, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. Trying to grow the channel so we can get monetized and keep investing back into the channel to get a better product. If you're feeling generous, I will post a cash app, to invest into the page. But if you can't do that, I understand we are in a partial recession or whatever going on with the economy. If you can't do that, fine and dandy. Please, hit the subscribe button. But I do appreciate y'all. I appreciate the support. And I will be back later on. So God bless, and I'll get at y'all. Peace.